Hello, everyone. This is David Ellis, and I'm here with Avery Shell. And Avery, I've just met recently, but she is an HTMA specialist, amongst other things. I'm not going to introduce her. Avery, please introduce yourself.
Good morning. Well, my name is Avery Shell, as you mentioned, and I am a holistic nutritionist who specializes in women's health, primarily weight loss and hormone balance, and discovered the benefits of hair mineral analysis testing probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and decided to integrate it into my practice because I saw and felt the benefits personally and with my clients. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, you said a lot of things there. You specialize in women's health. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I primarily focus on women who are menopausal or postmenopausal, obviously, because that's where the stage that I'm at in my life, who are struggling with hormonal weight loss, right? As we age, our body changes. And the things that we used to do when we were younger to release the weight are not necessarily working for us as we begin to age. Lots of things change, right? Digestion changes, hormones change, lifestyle changes, all kinds of things. So, struggling with some of those issues myself, getting into that kind of thing seemed to attract a lot of women my age specifically. And so it's just working with women, primarily with food. I'm a food first kind of nutritionist. That's where I like to start, because you got to buy groceries anyway. And food definitely has a huge impact. We don't necessarily understand it from that perspective because we've been taught that there are all kinds of other things, other foods out there that can serve a need. But what we don't always pay attention to is that the body really does need the nutrients that come from real whole foods. So when you can help somebody realize the benefit of using real food more often than not versus some of the quicker, more convenient processed foods, and change how they feel in almost every aspect of their life, it's quite shocking and rewarding.
Yes. Okay. Before I go on, I'm going to make a small discovery here to our audience. Avery actually counseled me recently, and her suggestions are actually spot on. So if you guys are looking for a nutritionist who's actually very good at what she does, definitely contact this lady. I will leave her contact in the description below. Now, you said that you deal with women who are in menopausal stage of their life. My question to you is, how does nutrition differ significantly from a younger woman to someone who is in going into menopause, perimenopause or menopause? Is there a huge difference, or is it that the body's needs change?
Well, it's a combination of quite a few things, right? When we're younger, everything functions optimally. But as we go through life and past indiscretions catch up with us, right? Drinking, smoking, eating out, right? Like if you just look back over your own life, when you were younger, you probably ate pretty good because your parents made sure you did. And then, you grow up and you become a teenager and you're out with your friends and you start eating more junk food, fast food, that kind of thing. And then you get married and you have kids and life gets busy. So, your diet changes a little bit then. But so does your level of activity and your sleep and all kinds of things. So definitely hormones play a big role in this for women because, that's our evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But how we choose to nurture our body over those years also plays a big role, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by focusing on, actually, I'm getting off topic here, but because we evolve and change as women, the way our hormones react inside the body changes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Understood.
that's where the difference comes. And sadly, and I'm speaking, primarily for myself, is, I didn't have a mom or a grandmother around. They had passed before I entered that stage of life. So I really had nobody to talk to about it. I had no idea that, what was happening was, I was changing seasons in my life. And that's in fact what drove me to nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
was experiencing these changes and not getting much help from the allopathic path, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, so let's assume that you have a client who's entering menopause. What are
mhm.
the things that that client absolutely must know about going through that stage of life?
I think first of all, it's recognizing that that's what's happening, right? We chalk a lot of things up to stress or busy or, you know, just life in general, right? Stress,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of crazy things. So I think when I'm talking to my younger girls, I always try to convince them to always be listening to their body
Mm-hmm.
because it tells us when things are not right. And then, investigate what could be causing some of those issues that you have, right? For me, it was digestion. My digestion changed significantly, and I started developing some gas and some bloating and constipation and even some acid reflux. And
Yeah.
I had no idea that, and I thought I ate really well considering, but if I'd have known back then, I could have made a few tweaks and I might not have packed on as many pounds and I might not have lost so much sleep and I might have been a bit more stress resilient.
Ah.
But right? Like these things, the changes that we undergo as we age are very subtle. It's not like it's
Mm-hmm.
a whole new day, right? So I think paying attention to what it is that is going on with your body and not discounting it for something else is really important as you begin to enter those stages. There's a lot more information out there now today too than there was, when I was going through this 20 years ago. So I do think that women are becoming more and more aware and they're not settling. They are, you know, expanding their horizons and seeing what else is out there and, um, attempting to make the necessary changes. But we don't know what we don't know until we know it.
Yeah, this is something that actually I have seen with clients of mine. They go into a doctor, usually a male doctor,
Hmm.
and he
Yeah,
makes a diagnosis and he gives a sort of prescription, and the prescription is to alleviate the symptoms of something, right?
right.
Without acknowledging it. And obviously, the doctor's never been in a woman's body. That's always a big problem. It doesn't matter. Like this is, and it's not only in the realm of women going into menopause, right? Generally speaking, there's a disconnect between what I experience as a medical professional and what a woman experiences experiences as a person within the body. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So you're saying, like, this is actually a very interesting point you just made. Um, Having women pay attention to their bodies.
Yeah. It's
Because the truth of the matter is, there's some things that you just can't describe to a man. If I asked you, and I've tried this several times, I don't want to listen to that kind of discussion, but this is a very interesting point, and I have to go down that rabbit hole.
okay.
So I asked women, explain childbirth to me. Tell me so that I understand. You
Are
don't
you
have
asking me?
no. I mean this generally.
Oh,
I I asked that question to a lot of women, and yeah, it's something that you can't connect with if you're outside. Does that make sense?
yes. Yes. Yes.
And I think I would challenge any man to try to connect and understand it, not cerebrally, but experientially.
Yes.
And so there's
Yes.
a big difference there. So your point is absolutely taken because I've seen this over and over again when a woman tries to explain a phenomenon that's going on with her to a male doctor, and there is like the blank stare.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we have to think about too is, we all typically just have a general practitioner, and they're just that, a general practitioner, and no disrespect.
Mhm.
I grew up in a family that, from the medical world, but I think I think that women would be better served if general practitioners either recognize that these symptoms require either an endocrinologist or even just started asking, what's your sleep like? How long has it been acting out like that? Where's your stress level?
Mhm.
Right? Because everything is so connected, it's like a domino effect, right? Once one thing goes, if we don't address it, then other things start to um, pile on. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, not once, even the endocrinologists that I saw, not one of them asked me about diet or lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I meant, I mean, yeah, like, yeah,
I think I have an answer to that one. If you are within certain industries, let's say you're in the medical field, you are your reasoning pattern and your awareness is squeezed down to what is evidence based.
yes,
It's a very narrow corridor. There is a right answer and there is a wrong answer. There may
yeah,
be different kinds of right answers, but they have to be in the right spectrum. Okay,
yeah,
so I think, and generally speaking, I'm just from experience because I have counseled people for many years. There are very few women that work that way. Okay, there are very few women that work that way in the narrow corridor. Okay, and
yeah.
so I think a lot of what you're seeing when people don't ask you, like about the connectedness of who you are as an individual, has to do with training. Okay. It has to do with training, and in the absence of training, there will be a lack of connection. Does that make sense? Certain kinds of connection.
Yeah, I also think the missing piece to that is that, doctors are trained to be reactive,
There is that.
right? So you go in and you tell him I'm not sleeping. He doesn't think that it could be, an imbalance in cortisol or an imbalance in insulin due to, stress factors in your life and the fact that your diet just needs to be tweaked a little bit, right?
Yes.
So, they address it from a reactive perspective instead of a proactive perspective.
Yeah, there are many issues with this construct, because, and that's actually for another show. I'm definitely going to have you back on to speak about that. The marriage between pharmaceuticals and healthcare fields.
Mhm.
It's kind of like an unholy union sometimes. Okay, depending on what you're talking about. But to get back to what it is that you do, you are an HTMA specialist. Please tell the audience what that is and why they should be concerned, or why they should actually pay attention to what that is.
Okay. So HTMA is hair mineral analysis testing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great way to gain insight into what's happening in the body from a cellular level. So we're all familiar with going to the doctor and getting blood work done, and they can tell us a lot based on our blood work, right? But the problem with blood is blood does whatever it has to stay homeostatic.
Mm-hmm.
And it will pull or release from whatever it needs to maintain homeostasis,
Mm-hmm.
the appropriate levels. And you really don't know there's a problem until it's, a problem,
A real
right?
problem,
A
yeah.
real problem. And I mean, just think about the difference in categories when someone goes in and has their A1C tested, right? When they're testing for blood sugar, A1C tests our blood sugar over the last 3 months.
Correct.
So it gives us a pretty good idea of blood sugar levels for that amount of time. But you'll go in and get it done, and the doctor will say, "Oh, your blood sugar's inching up there." And then you go in a year later, and then he goes, "Oh, now you're pre-diabetic." And then you go back a year, and he goes, "Oh, now you're diabetic." Right?
And
So,
you forgot the rest of that, and we have to medicate you.
well, yeah. So depending on, like, they might ring the alarm bells at pre-diabetes and say, it's time to make some changes, or I was just talking to a friend the other day whose daughter was just diagnosed with prediabetes, and he put her on Ozempic. So, there's different stages. The beautiful part about hair mineral analysis testing is it gives us an idea of what's happening on the cellular level because it comes out in our hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it will look back over about 4 months. And it's not a way to diagnose. It's definitely not a way to diagnose, but it gives us insights to vitality, insights into infections, insights into blood sugar balance, insights into adrenal health, insights into digestive health and liver health, insights into stress levels. And then it also gives us a peek at what's happening from a heavy metal perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from, heavy metals, where the vitamins and minerals are in our body, whether we're, on the edge of something. And I think I got into it because dealing with women with weight loss, food can only get us so far.
Correct.
Right? So, if they've done a really good job of cleaning up their diet and they're getting exercise and they've, maximized their sleep potential and they're waking up, but they're still not feeling super great. Like, we always go back to the way we used to feel when we were younger. And that's possible, right? Under the, if we give everything the right conditions. But the truth was, myself included, I had cleaned up my diet. I was exercising. I had, prioritized sleep and reduced, found really great ways to manage stress and that kind of thing. But I still wasn't feeling quite enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned about hair mineral analysis test. And when I did the test, I was quite shocked to see that even though I had maximized all of these things, my body was still starving for minerals.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason for that comes from the fact that our food isn't grown in soils that is nutritious or well looked after. Like we tend to mass farm. right? We use a lot of chemicals, herbicides and pesticides. That depletes the soil. When the soil's depleted, it can't, the food that we grow is nutrient deficient. The apple that I ate when I was 10 is not the apple I eat today at 62.
That is correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So, so having good food, and then of course, I've always been a supplement girl. So taking specific supplements that were targeted to help with some of the remaining or the lingering things that I was trying to amend weren't quite cutting it either, because on the supplement bottle you get a dose, right? They tell you the dose that you should be taking, but it's the minimum dose for safety purposes, right?
And this
Because
is
they're it's going out there to the masses, and that's great, right? We don't want anybody to be harmed by anything, but the truth is some of us need more magnesium than what the RDI is on the bottle.
yes, and here's the thing. I think like it should be common sense for anybody. Even when I was learning nutrition and I just finished the HTMA, it should be common sense for anybody, everybody, that people's bodies are different.
Yes.
Just by looking at someone, you see someone who's 300 pounds, you see someone who's 95 pounds. Okay? People's bodies are different. So when they say recommended daily intake, which body are they basing that on? I always wondered about that, right? And so what I found out when I asked the nutrition instructor, when I asked my instructor, was that it is based on what is recommended for the majority of the population.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem with that. There is no majority of the population anymore. Okay?
Yep.
There is no majority, because when you start making classifications based on ethnicity, demographic, area of the world, the diets that people are on, then the recommended daily intake is of no use. It's a useless measurement. What they actually mean is, we think that this would work for the majority of the world back when people were more homogeneous, okay? Homogeneous, right? And so a lot of people tend to think that this recommended daily intake is for them. Okay?
Yeah. And part of that too is, the governing bodies, right?
Yeah.
There's the FDA that we've got to, regulations that we've got to meet. There's all kinds of things that kind of get in the way. I think the goal is to help. And for some, the recommended daily intake is enough. But for others, it is not. And you don't know that, right? Like you might get a little lift when you start taking it, but after a while you notice, oh, I don't feel as good as I did, a month ago or 2 months ago when I started taking this. The other thing too is a lot of people take supplements they don't necessarily need.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes, I was that girl before I went to nutrition school. If somebody told me this was working for them, I tried it. Right? Without
it was like that.
I know. But what's the use of talking about this if you can't be honest?
Right. No, but seriously, I was that guy as well. So here's the thing, right? I think that a lot of people tend to think in terms of what I need, right? As opposed to go get it checked. Okay.
Yes. Well, there's a bit of a cost perspective too, right? Like when you go to the doctor and you get tests done, they don't do any of the kinds of testing that a nutritionist or a functional medicine nutritionist or doctor would do, or even a naturopath. But you go there and it's all paid for, and your prescriptions are covered under your insurance. So there's that, right?
Yes, but even in that,
when you're doing alternative, when you're looking for ways to heal from an alternative perspective, so you're reaching out to the alternative health field, um, the testing is not covered. I mean, more and more insurance companies are picking up on this and starting to help out, but it's it's not covered. And
Yeah,
then,
because
there's also the
it's
knowledge.
prevention, though.
I'm
You see,
sorry?
because a lot of the alternative medicine people, their methodology is based on prevention. Before you get sick,
Yes.
this is what you probably should do.
Yeah.
And this is actually a better approach to healthcare. And I'll tell you why. It's just my personal opinion. Because you don't want to get sick. It should be that. But I
Yes.
on going back to the whole idea of what is recommended. So I go to the gym 4 times a week. Okay. According to some vitamin companies, the same pill that is going to work for me is going to work for some 95-pound, I don't know, Eskimo chick in the North Pole. Okay, that is not correct. It's not going
Mhm.
to balance anything out. So what they try to do, I see the different trends. Some supplement manufacturers are trying to overdose, and there's danger in that.
Yeah, I just think that the whole, like sad to say, but the letter P comes to mind, P for profit. And I do believe that the intentions are good, right? But at the same time, this is what people don't understand. And I was guilty of this too. I told you I was the girl. If you said this worked for you, I tried it, right? Especially if it was a supplement or whatever. Um, I would give it a go. But the reality was, not all of it worked, right? Not all of it gave me the relief or the satisfaction that I was looking for or seeking.
Mhm.
And so, um, with hair mineral analysis testing, it goes deeper than surface level,
Mhm.
right? It goes deeper than diet, it goes deeper than exercise. And once you get going on hair mineral analysis testing and consistently reviewing the levels, because this is not a one and done test either, right? This is something that changes over time. And a lot of times, if you're doing it consistently, it changes for the better, because you can get to the point where your mineral levels are balanced and stable. And now you're only doing this once a year just to see, if in fact anything has changed, and if you need to make some tweaks to the supplements that you're taking,
Okay.
right?
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about toxicity
Mm-hmm.
in the heavy metal spectrum as well. There are a lot of people walking around absolutely toxified.
We
They
all
don't
are.
they don't know that their fatigue is coming from toxicity. What do you have to say to these people?
Well, first of all, it's, we can't avoid it.
Hmm.
It is everywhere. We're breathing it in, we're eating it with our food. It's in the products that we put on our skin and our hair. It's in our cleaning products. It's in our laundry products. I mean, I spent a lot of time on airplanes, walking out to the tarmac, getting on a plane. You're sucking in all that, all of the gas and stuff, or petrol, whatever it is they use in planes. I don't even know, diesel. You're constantly in contact with all of that. And I think that's the other reason why I always suggest listen to your body, because the truth is, you'll know if you're not feeling well and you've maxed everything else, you've cleaned up everything else, then that's where you got to start looking at toxicities. But you could start reducing that now just by moving to more cleaner products, right?
Hmm.
But it really shows up in liver health.
Yes, because your liver has to process
Yes.
all the
That's right.
byproducts, heavy
Yes.
metals, the nitrites, and so on that you are consuming. A lot of people tend to fool themselves into believing, and I've said it on the show several times, that if I eat organic, I am safe. No, you're
No,
not safe. You're not
you're
safe.
better off. You're a bit better off for sure, right? Because organic food is a little is grown without all of those herbicides and pesticides and chemicals. It's grown in healthier soil because the farmer is rotating crops and, replenishing the soil as Mother Nature intended it to be. So you are a bit better off from that, from the perspective of the fact that it's lower in chemicals. It's a little bit more nutritious, and it was raised with love,
Mhm.
right? And hard work.
Yeah, well, Avery, I have a horrifying fact to tell you. We ran an episode a few weeks ago, where it was discovered apparently that at the supermarket level, if you shop at Walmart or if you shop at one of those big chains, what they're doing is spraying a substance called appeal
Yes.
on the organic vegetables that you're trying to avoid
Yes.
chemicals. But the supermarket chain, what it does, it sprays the vegetables so that the skin thickens, so that they look fresh and new all the time. So you have avocados that are coming out rubbery. If your avocado is a little bit rubbery, it's been sprayed. And they
Yeah.
usually put a sticker on them. And this is something that is going on wholesale. So for those of you who are eating organic, please pay attention. Pay
Yeah.
attention.
I think that's more prevalent in the States right now than it is in Canada.
I've seen that sticker in Canada. I
Oh,
have.
have you? I haven't noticed. Well, it's summertime, or the end of the summer. I tend to shop the farmers market,
Yeah, yeah.
right? For everything that I can until, fresh foods are available. And then the grocery stores through the winter when it's not as abundant. I think for I think some of the things that you need to look for is, local,
Yeah.
right?
Find a farmer friend.
Yeah, so we have a grocery store that, prioritizes local. So they'll source a lot of their stuff from around the province, which is awesome, right? But I think the goal is with the appeal is to keep it fresher longer. I think that's the purpose of it. Um, yeah.
Doesn't it make you
It-
smile?
yeah.
What a time to be alive. I would rather my food look good and kill me than look a little bit spotty and nourish me. It's what a time to be alive. It's hilarious. We want to talk about something that's very important to the HTMA community, the Heterogeneous Mineral Analysis community, and that is the deficiencies and the imbalances in certain minerals in the body. The calcium magnesium spectrum allow a lot of people have a lot of back and forth. I've argued with medical professionals on this and so on. You have a bunch of adults still drinking milk. Oh my God. Right. You have an adult still drinking milk thinking that it'll deliver calcium and make them live up to 90 years old, saying that their grandmother grew up on a farm and she drank milk every day and she lived to 99 or whatever, 100, whatever. Yeah, it wasn't the milk that made her live to that age. Okay, it was a whole
Well,
bunch of other factors.
it was also a different kind of milk.
Yeah, that's the
She
truth.
probably drank it raw. It wasn't pasteurized.
Correct. And here's
And
the
it would have been from a happier cow,
thing.
right? Because it wasn't stuck in a barn or a stall 24/7. I mean, every mineral that's in the body is necessary.
Correct.
It serves a purpose, a function, and a lot of them work together. So I think, calcium is important, but I'm not quite sure that everybody needs to drink milk every day. And I'm not sure that everybody needs to take a calcium supplement every day.
Honestly, if you told the average person You know that there's calcium in broccoli, right? They're going to be like, oh, that's nice. I'm not eating broccoli for calcium. So
Yeah.
here's the thing: there's a balance that is held in the body, right? A lot of people are magnesium deficient due to the
Mhm.
fact that they're stressed out. They're taking a bunch of chemicals. Let's not forget the toxicity. All of that depletes magnesium in the body. Nobody cares about that mineral. It is a very important mineral. What is the last count? It's responsible for over 600 different functions in your body.
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. 6 to 800 enzymatic. It's a cofactor
Correct.
for 6 to 800 enzymatic functions in the body, and it is. We are extremely depleted because not a lot of people eat greens, and that's where the biggest concentration of magnesium comes from in the diet. Again, our soils are depleted. And when we are stressed out, magnesium is the first thing to be eaten up by the stress. We actually call it the magnesium burn rate
Yeah.
in our little corner of the world here. Um, it's so important. It's important for helping put calcium into bone. It's important for stress. It's important for blood sugar balance. It's important for energy. It's important for mental health. It's important for heart health. It's important for all kinds of sleep, even, right? It helps with sleep. Magnesium is a very calming herb, a relaxing herb or supplement mineral.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to overlook minerals on the whole because
Yes, we
they,
do.
because they believe that vitamins are the rock stars. No.
Well, they are to a certain extent, right? Like, I mean, if if we take
Let's put it this way. If you only ate vitamins, you would be dead within a couple of days. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have your food. But I think what the piece with hair mineral analysis testing is it gives us an opportunity to see, which minerals are in excess, which minerals are depleted, and then I work with a company that actually helps us create customized um, supplement formulas
Mhm.
based on the results of your test and your symptoms. So you're not just going out and buying, a big bottle of multivitamins because everybody thinks that that's where to get, the biggest bang for your buck. And in certain cases, it absolutely is, right? For some, it's a great way to shore up a bit of shortness. It's not going to work long term, right? You got to have everything else in order for that to work.
Mhm.
But um, not everybody, not everybody takes a supplement. And I can attest to this just by, some of the women that I work with, right? Some of them might know about magnesium and take magnesium, and some of them might just take a multiple vitamin. And, because when we were younger, especially women my age, calcium was the big thing to protect bone health. But what we're learning now as things are studied and evolve, that calcium might not be the best source, right? We need vitamin D3, we need K2, we need magnesium. And, you can get natural sources of calcium,
Yep.
right?
I think a lot of people always, and there's a reactionary element to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's say a woman is aging and she's going to menopause and she's afraid of osteoporosis. Because she has been taught basic nutrition, just basic nutrition, she's going to try to overdose on calcium and cause herself run into another problem.
Yes, and when we have too much calcium in the body, if they call calcium the judge.
That's actually very funny and very
And now
accurate.
I can tell you that I've been through this personally because my first hair mineral analysis test identified a calcium shell.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's not good. We don't want calcium in blood and tissue. We want calcium in bones and teeth,
correct.
right? And to be honest with you, I'm not a milk drinker. I'm a yogurt eater and a goat cheese eater, but I don't eat conventional. I don't have conventional dairy.
Okay.
So I was quite, and I quit taking calcium supplements. Wow, probably about when I first learned that calcium wasn't necessarily the be all and the end all for protecting bone health, probably 12 or 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But I took calcium because, you know, I was raised to believe that it was a necessary thing,
Yeah.
right?
I do.
And we said this before, right? You don't know what you don't know until you know it. But you have to take the initiative, I think, to explore it, right? You have to accept the fact that whatever it is that you are doing might not be working in a way that you had hoped it would or expected it to. And just seeking advice from reliable sources. And that too was another reason why I chose to go to nutrition school and pursue an education in this field was because, back then it wasn't available. All of this information wasn't as available then as it is now, right? So I think if someone can focus on, maximizing the benefits of their diet, and I'm not saying you have to eat, clean, I call it clean or healthy 100% of the time, but you want to prioritize that more often than not. And then, looking at the types of supplements that you take and asking yourself, is this working for me? And if it's not, seeking the appropriate advice from somebody who works in the field and can better guide you with that, right? Because some of us take stuff and we don't even know why we're taking it. Or we're taking it because somebody told us to, or it worked for somebody else. Like I'm that girl. All of that, all of the above.
Yeah. I think a lot of people tend to not do a lot of research for themselves. But if I had to make a suggestion to anybody who's watching this broadcast, you have DNA testing that's available and
Yeah.
affordable. And you also have hair tissue mineral analysis that's available and affordable. Stop guessing about your health.
Yes. Yes. And even your digestive health, like there are far more um, beneficial tests out there now that help us test digestive health and the diversity in our microbiota in our gut. And all like you could, it feels like it never ends.
Correct.
Right? But the beautiful part about it is even if you're taking small steps and making those tweaks, you realize those benefits in such a short period of time, right? So, if it's up to me, when clients come to me, I say, let's start with diet. And then while we're working on diet, we're starting to address stress.
Correct.
And then we're starting to address sleep. Mind you, sleep does tend to get better when diet and stress are addressed, right? But pick your biggest sources and then see what you're left with, right? If you're sleeping well and you're moving your body, that's important, right? Moving your body on a daily basis, and it doesn't have to be a HIIT class every day, or you just want to be doing things that are enjoyable to you and are using the muscles in your body, especially women. And you're eating well and your sleep is, way better than it was, but you're still not feeling great, then that's when you start investigating all of the other things, right? Let's look at hair mineral analysis testing and see what's going on a cellular level. And maybe we need to investigate what's happening on a digestive level, because the truth is you can take all the supplements you want, but if your digestion isn't working optimally.
Yeah, nothing is being absorbed.
Right.
Nothing is being absorbed, and you are
Right.
not healthy, which is another thing that I do have an issue with. If you're going to be choosing vitamins, Avery and I had a discussion. Choose a vitamin company that is operating out of integrity. Not all of them operate from the point of view of integrity. I'm going to give you guys a few tips while we're at it. If you are going to be choosing a vitamin company to provide you with calcium and it has calcium carbonate on it, they were cheaping out. Okay?
You also have to look for fillers. I always suggest my clients look for, like, first of all, purchase your supplements at a supplement store.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who, because, typically, and I'm not talking GNC, I'm talking like a health food store.
Correct.
Because typically they have educated staff in there so they can help
Yes.
you. Secondly, they tend to carry higher end brands. So when I say higher end brands, I mean brands that have been A, put together with integrity, and B, have been third party tested, right? So that you know the ingredients that you're taking in that supplement are of the best quality, have been manufactured in a way that is exceptional, and prepared in the doses in which are allowed.
Correct.
Right? So no disrespect to the other brands, but a lot of them are, they have a lot of fillers, or they use
The
a
cheapest
less
of things.
expensive, a less expensive synthetic.
Yeah, the synthetics are actually not very okay, imagine taking a multivitamin. We're not going to get into names there, but I do want to shout out on the positive side, CanPrev. I believe
Yeah.
you put me in touch with that. That's a very good supplement company. Imagine taking a vitamin, this big pill, and at least 30 to 40% of that pill, you can't absorb it. Okay? Because if you're over 40, the calcium carbonate is going to be a problem. If it's not calcium citrate, right? The magnesium is from the worst source of magnesium available. They're not getting it glycinate because they marketed it in mass market for people. So they chose the simplest ingredients to put in that pill.
I think the other thing too is, the bioavailability of the ingredient, right? For the body. The body, if you think back, we were designed to eat real, whole, fresh foods.
Correct.
We weren't designed to put synthetic things in, or manufactured things into our body, right? But because science has evolved and this is becoming more prevalent for more people are starting to look into this. Science is evolving too, and we're learning some of the good and the bad from old ways, right? Old ways of thinking. It's crazy. I don't know if you do this, but I do this. We got to stay on top of the latest and greatest that's coming out, because
Correct.
we could be, sharing information with our friends, with our clients, or even with each other that is a tad outdated.
Yes, and I'll give you a classic example of that. About 10 to 20 years ago, ephedra was the thing. This miracle thing that was better than coffee, right? From the mawang plant, ephedra. So they put it in all the bodybuilding supplements and so on.
Yes.
People took a bunch of ephedra. They went up into the gym. They had energy to burn. People doing laundry at 2 a.m. in the morning, okay? Until it started to kill people, because you can overdose on ephedra and plateau your heart to such a degree that it just stops. And so the FDA rushed in and took it off the market. Now, was it a bad supplement? No, but not everybody's body is the same. So when you put a dosage on a supplement bottle, please understand that, let's say you're targeting bodybuilders. And it's not only going to be bodybuilders that are going to buy your products, especially if it's over the counter. Okay? You're going to find Marge who's 60 something, who just wants a little bit more energy, who's never worked out a day in her life, is going to say, oh, if one pill does that for me, let me just take 2 pills a day. Okay? Which is way over Marge's because of her body weight. her body was not going to tolerate it, Marge is going to die. Okay. And so that was a classic example of what we're talking about. But honestly, there's no, if we had to give, as a nutritionist, if we had to give you guys advice, and you're right, Avery, you have to stay up to date on the changes because every day something is getting pulled off the market.
Or information about a specific ingredient or whatever is changing because we've learned more about it,
Yes,
right? So I think if you're looking to improve your health in any way, shape, or form, start with diet.
correct.
Address your stress, get some movement, prioritize sleep, and then see what you're left with.
Yes, because a vitamin or a supplement will never replace the food that you're going to eat.
No, well, they're just that. They call them supplements for a reason, right? To supplement the diet.
Yep, and I suspect, well, we've reached our time. Avery, the first thing I want to say is I really enjoyed speaking to you. This has been fun. This has
Yes,
been fun.
thank you.
And the second thing I would like to say, please, if you're taking clients, give these people a way to get a hold of you so that the people seeing this can actually find someone who is competent. And I could vouch for Avery's competency. She is a very good nutritionist.
Oh, thank you. You can reach me at Avery, Avery, at Avery Lynn Nutrition with two N's, .ca.
Okay.
That's my email address. My website is just averylynnnutrition.ca.
And
And then I'm not big on social media, but you can, on my website, Instagram and Facebook, you can book in a discovery call or a introductory call and just see if we're a good fit.
what is your Instagram handle for those of them who are Instagram and social media expert? Do you remember? Mhm.
I think just let me look. Sorry.
It's fine.
When you don't
Do social media because
or when you just don't. So on Instagram, it's Avery Lynn, two N's, _nutrition.
Mhm.
And Facebook, it's just Avery Lynn Nutrition.
Okay, Avery, thank you for being here. And for those of you who are out there who are looking for an HTMA specialist and as someone who deals with women specifically and women's health, definitely reach out to this lady. She is absolutely competent. And as you have seen, she keeps herself up to date. Thank you so much for being here, Avery.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Okay.